Welcome.
I would warn you that it is a criminal offence. It is not a technical offence. So some of you may need to think carefully before putting yourselves forward to be arrested.
But few were deterred. As contractors prepared the post holes for a fence, the protesters advanced. With legislation proclaimed a week ago, parts of Albert Park will become declared areas, basically banning protests such as today's while work goes on. But the state
to experience his first ever Grand Prix. And there, supporting his views, rock band Hunters and Collectors.
There are many thousands of people who live in Melbourne who don't want the Grand Prix at Albert Park Lake.
Mansell slides away. For Mr Dietrich, seeing the massive racing spectacle firsthand confirmed his worst fears.
The infrastructure is so huge and the areas involved are so vast that it is a nonsense to say that we can have our cake and eat it too, that we can have a racetrack and a park.
Watching.
Do you hear the people sing, singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to start when tomorrow comes. Will you join in a crusade? Who will be strong and stand with me? Beyond the barricade, is there a world you long to see?
Then join in the fight that will give you the right to be free.
Do you hear the people sing, singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to stop and tomorrow comes. Will you give all you can give so that a banner may advance? Some will fall and some will live. Will you stand up and take your chance? The blood of the martyrs will water the meadows of France. Do you hear the people sing, singing the song of angry men? It is the music of a people who will not be slaves again. When the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums, there is a life about to stop and tomorrow comes.
Good evening, Doug Weller in Melbourne with ABC News. The campaign to stop the Grand Prix at Albert Park Lake is far from flagging. More than 3,000 people took part in the protest today, bringing down a perimeter fence. As Jane Cunningham reports, the demonstrators also put themselves at risk of being fined around $2,000 as they entered the site for a social game of cricket.
Slaves again, when the beating of your heart echoes the beating of the drums.
Marching to the strains of Les Miserables' call to arms, a wall of protesters approached the 2-week-old fence erected to keep them out with their now characteristic yellow ribbons.
Spring turned to summer in Melbourne. Park users and people from all over the city who knew and loved Albert Park continued in their attempts to get the government to listen to them. This was plainly not the best place for a noisy, smelly celebration of speed and gasoline. The Premier accused the Save Albert Park group of working against the best interests of the state and continued to brush all protest aside. Then, in early December, events took a dramatic turn for the worse.
I'm a member of Save Albert Park. I've been arrested twice trying to save the park. I support the Grand Prix coming to Victoria, but not at Albert Park. Thank you for your support for being here this evening. This is a historic rally. We are here to listen to issues that affect all Victorians. What is occurring at Albert Park is a reflection of the threat that exists to the way of life we all enjoy in this state. The proposed Grand Prix at Albert Park raises so many issues of relevance to all Victorians. Lack of consultation, repressive legislation, lack of due process, loss of democratic rights, misuse of taxpayers' funds and misuse of public parkland, space owned by the people given over to private individuals.
Briefly explain why hunters and collectors threw in their support for this protest. We believe it is the right of any community to be consulted and recognised by a government which plans legislation that will have a devastating impact on the life of that community. This right is so fundamental that most of us proceed from day to day believing that our political voice is inalienable, that we will in the end be listened to by the people we democratically elect into government. But in Victoria today, this is no longer the truth, because we have watched as the Kennett government has simply declared Albert Park the site of a future race, the Grand Prix, as though it were an accomplished fact, and then proceeded to ignore our long and sustained protest, no matter how reasonable, heartfelt or downright logical. Instead, they have allowed a private organisation to move in and occupy public land, which we all used to enjoy, chopped down hundreds of trees and transformed it into a war zone. And let there be no mistake about this. The government has called the shots every step of the way. Albert Park used to be a beautiful, tranquil space in the heart of our city. Just go down there tomorrow and check out the devastation. And just to add salt to the wound, and this is what sealed the issue for me, we had to endure the obscenely gloating face of Geoffrey Kennett telling people to buy their tickets for the race of a lifetime as the first of those magnificent trees came down, while protesters, some shedding tears of despair, were forced to stand clear. Nobody that callous deserves the privilege of being Premier of the state of Victoria.
Unique features is that the central business district has three large parks next to it: Royal Park, the Botanical Gardens and Albert Park. I know of no city of comparable size with this attraction. To commercialise Albert Park is to attack Melbourne's special character, and we are all the losers.
There you go, mate.
Oh, listen, what happened to that democracy thing? When's that? That's tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, gosh. I might go to that, yeah. Where she lives, they would have.
Yeah, we're just getting them on camera.
With their Del Monte suits on.
Yeah, you've got the old investment for the
I wonder if the guy who came to assess our house.
We've experienced damage for the last 6 weeks. And that has been vividly demonstrated in the electronic media. They are tools of the government, and you have experienced here as well. What I want to say is that keep your resolve up. Tell you a little story about governments, and not only Liberal governments but Labor governments, where they decide what is good for the people. And I go to the fluoridation of water at Bendigo in 1976. Thank you very much. Okay.
The hands of the powerful Victorian trade union movement. Andrea Johnson reports unions have joined the protest action to delay work on the site.
Despite the bleak conditions, protesters basked in the heat generated by the state's most powerful unions.
And if I had a bet, I would bet that this place will not be built on time.
Trades Hall has voted to help prevent the Grand Prix being staged at Albert Park. Gary Main warns members will not work in a hostile environment.
In line with the Trades Hall Council resolution, if we're confronted with protesters, well, that causes police to be there at the site, and that will cause us to abandon the site.
Unions claim their members will play a crucial role in the next stage of construction. The government hit out today at Trades Hall's involvement, saying it was further evidence the protest here at Albert Park is politically motivated. Unmoved, the group has vowed to increase its protests. Campaign coordinator Jenny Chandler says she believes construction is already 3 weeks behind schedule. More than 250 people delayed work on the site this morning, but there were no arrests.